But check it out, guys. T-shirts. First batch of T-shirts I ever made. Actually, I did a test batch. They sold out pretty quick. I have another batch of T-shirts coming in on, I think maybe next week. So if you want to get yourself one of these shirts, I've got like extra small all the way to like 4X, I think. So if you want to get some, they're tri-cotton blends. They fit real nice and snug up here. They're loose down at the bottom. They're great. They're like, these are my favorite kinds of shirts. So they're, what did I say? Next level tri-cotton blends. They're really great. So if you guys want to get one of these, shoot me a message on one of my social medias down below and we'll get you squared away if I have you the right size for you. They're gonna be 25 bucks, 25, 26 bucks shipped, something like that. But I think that's gonna be it. Let's get started on today's video. Listen, today's a important day. I've got some bad news, some pretty sad news actually. I had to do a bunch of work off camera and get this car ready for the dyno tomorrow. It's bad news. It's a bummer because you guys didn't get to see me like wrap stuff up and like, you know, and finish stuff. But it was just way too much for me to handle between my work, my personal life, taking care of the family, taking care of dogs, getting this car done, and trying to YouTube, and trying to help out, the companies that I help out on social media. There's just too much going on, so I opted to kind of let one thing go a little bit. That was videos. But, we're back for now until I get busy again. The car is drivable. There's a couple of things that I have to sort out, today. Let's go in order of stuff that is a big, giant priority. Priority number one is we're going to make sure that the CO2 boost control works properly. Just because without that, the whole day at the dyno is going to be kind of a bust. Priority number two, there's a little tiny bit of an oil leak on the driver's side. I don't know for sure where it's coming from. It could be from the filter. It might not be tight enough. It could be from the oil feed and return, or oil feed lines, and the oil pressure sensor. That's kind of like where I'm leaning since it's towards that front corner. So we're gonna check that out. I don't want to be leaking oil on Joe's hub dyno or in his shop. That's not really that cool. So I'm gonna try to get that sorted out before I work on the last thing, which is power steering. Doesn't work right now. I got some 120 ohm resistors. We're gonna throw that in the wiring harness. Matt and I talked about it and shot the wires, the CAN bus wires for the power steering, and there is no reading for resistance on the CAN bus. There should be 120 ohm resistance on it. So I'm going to throw in a 120 ohm resistor on the wiring harness. I got 5 stitches in my hand. Just ignore these band-aids. Basically I was drilling in a piece of steel, and then the drill caught on it and whacked me in the hand and cut pretty deep. I actually had to go get 5 stitches. So CO2's on. I'm gonna hit the test. You're gonna see maybe. Wait, now it's working correctly. That's really weird. Okay, wait a second. Okay, so now it's doing it where it's just going straight out this side over here. But before it was just doing the right thing. So I don't really know. Okay, so I just want to show you guys a couple of cool things really quick that I've taught myself, and Matt has helped me with. Matt from Sparks and Shorts, which is size wiring guy. I talked to him and we were messing around with this. There's a couple of really cool features in here that, I say features in here, really, I'm sure that most aftermarket ECUs have this sort of stuff, but this just kind of like goes to speak towards how, and again, I've never had a Holley car, like a Holley Dominator on a car or anything like that, or any other competitor. This is my first aftermarket ECU. So I'm sure that most of them are like this, but I've never had an aftermarket ECU, and I've been able to figure out this stuff so far, just kind of like 15 or 20 minutes just messing with it. It's pretty intuitive. So I'll show you guys this real quick. This is this time-based features test that I found up here in this diagnostics test, time-based features, where I can kind of put in parameters, right, like the way that I assume that this is after I enable it. So enable the time testable features. I just kind of put in these like parameters that I think this is like, this is what tells the, you know, I'm telling the ECU like, hey, here's the parameters of the vehicle or whatever, or what I want to target or something like that. So I'm going to target 30 psi, 30 psi on the wastegate. And then I figured out down here, just like right click and you just add, you can add gauges. So all these are loaded down here, whatever. But you can just right click down there and pick whatever gauges you want and add it down there to the bottom. So here's wastegate pressure. And since the car's not running, I think these are going to be a little bit wonky just because of the voltage, but it's good enough to test the features. So when I hold down the trans brake button, that should cycle the CO2, and this is to test that the way that I had it was set up right. It was just, I'll explain it here in a second, but just to test it, there's 30 psi right there. It initiates after 0.02 seconds, or 0.2 seconds rather, then release off of it and it lets the CO2 out. So one more time without me talking. So super cool little feature. I'm sure I can test all sorts of stuff on that. Super nifty. Oh, it also starts the data logger. So you can see on here it's data logging on the screen. You can stop the data log there though. I can see that I have 20% memory is used, 80% remaining for the data logger. I want to figure out how to delete that out, like delete that, because what I was data logging was nothing important at all. So what was wrong with the CO2 boost control? Not wrong. What was happening with the CO2 boost control? Let me turn this off. So what was happening when I was trying to just test because the test function that I was using before was a wiring test, not a functionality test. So the ECU knew that I had 0 PSI loaded in the boost controller. So when I was testing the increase solenoid to let CO2 in, the ECU was automatically dumping that CO2 out the decrease solenoid. So that's why I was just kind of like going straight through like it wasn't supposed to. But once I got into this test functionality, that stopped happening. It did what it was supposed to. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, which is kind of cool, I need to remember how to get there. Let's see. Interface settings, dashboard setup. So here is this is the dash, right? The screen that's on the dash, and like how simple it is to like change whatever you want on here. So say I want this engine start button, if I wanted to make it a little bit smaller, I could cycle through all of these different styles. So say I want it to be this small, click save, and then write it to the ECU. Once it writes to the ECU, bing, makes this start button real small. And then that frees up a couple more spaces over here. I could put whatever I want to, but I don't really have the need for it to be, I don't know what else I'm going to need on here. I'm sure that eventually I'm going to decide what kind of stuff that I really want on here. This is just stuff that I threw up for now. Fuel level, which is there, it's working. I think half of a tank. I guess that's accurate. I put 10 gallons in it or so that's probably pretty accurate. I'm pretty sure that I can. Aha, here's the button. Erase memory. It may take a minute. Yes. Aha. There you can see it's doing a little scroll. So this is kind of like, this is just the learning curve, right? Just figuring out the new stuff that's in here. But I will be honest, like I'm kind of like technically savvy individual to begin with, but this is really intuitive. Like it's just, once you figure out whites are inputs, like whites are inputs, white wires, that mean what I'm talking about. Yellows are outputs, and you know, everything in between. Like once you figure that out, going through and making the changes on this stuff seems it's honestly pretty straightforward. I'm not too nervous to do this. And I know that too, like these lights that are on the outside, I can configure these to do whatever I want. They're not like set, so I could use one of them as like a trans temp, you know, trans over temps indicator, or like a fuel pressure indicator or oil pressure indicator. Like if it, you know, say oil pressure is low, like the oil pressure comes down below a certain number, then the light's gonna come on, I'm gonna know. Or I'm sure that there's probably a way that I could like make the whole dash flash at me if a certain parameter is met. Like if it goes below like 10 psi oil pressure or something, the dash I could probably make the dash flash at me. Oh, don't forget to write this to the ECU after you mess up the buttons. But pretty nifty. It's pretty neat. Also, you can start the car from the computer just by clicking that button, which is kind of scary but kind of cool at the same time. And then also obviously you can set up a ton of different dashboards. So I could put one like for where I'm racing, where it's just like probably like start engine, RPM, data logger, fuel, and oil pressure, or you know, and just run only those things on there real nice and big so they're easy to see in a helmet. And then while I'm cruising around, I could put like speed, let's say while I'm cruising around, say I don't really care about RPM, because I can, you know, you can kind of tell RPM by the sound. I could put speed up there, so I could do use the drive shaft speed sensor to display whatever speed I'm going. I could just have that as dash number 1 and just use that when I'm cruising around, and then dash number 2 while I'm racing, dash number 3 while I'm like troubleshooting something. I don't know, there's like all sorts of ways. There's endless ways. I'm getting super excited. There's endless ways that I could set this up to be in my favor. So I'm super excited. But CO2 is good. Turned off the bottle. You guys saw me do it, so there should be CO2 in there. The next on the list was, let's rewind. Next on the list was tighten down the oil filter, because I think that the oil filter or the turbo feed lines were leaking. So we're gonna do that next. Then after that was fix the power steering, so that it's not, because I am gonna drive this to the dyno tomorrow. I'm gonna drive the car there, because it is, I took it for a drive around. It's fine to drive right now, but we're gonna do that next. All right, so I was really hoping to take this thing for a spin around the block this evening on camera, but I'm not gonna be able to, because I have to edit this video before we go tomorrow, because I really want to try to post this tomorrow while I'm at the dyno. That way I owe you guys a video, but I will start it, because I haven't started it, I don't think, on camera yet, because it does start. But here, oh, kill switch. Okay, take 2. Check it out, how sweet. Pretty neat, but my eyeballs are burning. Can you see my eyeballs burning? I don't know how you would be able to see my eyeballs burning, but yeah, like I said, it runs. It'll once we get this power steering issue fixed out and the brakes like totally bled out again, we'll oh my god, there's air out in here. Okay, once we get the brakes bled out and the power steering issue totally sorted, I think that's pretty much like it. After the dyno, we'll be able to get it going out on the street and out on the track. But that's going to wrap up today's video. Thanks for watching. Like always, comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.
Okay, I'll run back to the store.
Okay, thank you.